Fuzion here, back with another reaction video. Today, we're reacting to some more NBA Today. Uh, Kendrick Perkins says that Chris Paul is not a top 10 point guard of all time. Chris Paul is retiring. He's going back to the Clippers for, I feel like, a well-deserved farewell tour. He did a lot for the Clippers. He brought the Lob City out. He created the Lob City. He sort of helped cultivate Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, sort of was bringing back that fun factor to LA basketball when LA basketball was sort of lacking. The Lakers, I think that was a time when Kobe was injured and we were running just off fumes. The prime of the Clippers, I believe. Because there was a stint where Paul Gasol he got dunked on by Blake Griffin like crazy. I think a few times. So maybe I'm wrong on that. We'll have to fact check that. Anyway, I like the Clippers. I've always liked the Clippers. I've always thought that they were fun to watch. I used to use them in 2K. I think that was 13. 12 or 13. One of them. I would sub JJ Redick out for Jamal Crawford. And I would always put in Danny Granger. For some reason, he was hella stupid in that game. Anyway, yeah. Chris Paul. He is for sure in my top 10 point guards. Here are my top 10 in no particular order. I want to do an order at some point, but I just wanted to go sort of off the top of my head. I saw this in my feed and I thought it was interesting. So we got Steph, Magic, Russ, Chris Paul. I'm thinking the names. I like John Stockton there. That's 5. Steve Nash, 6. Isaiah Thomas. Of course, Pistons, Isaiah Thomas, 7. I need 3 more. People put Oscar Robertson on there. I haven't watched him play personally. I've seen highlights and stuff, but I'm not really qualified to put him on there. I've done research on everybody else. I've always thought he was interesting. I've of course, with his like triple doubles, and he was the predecessor to what Russ is doing and was doing. So shout out to him. But I'm not putting him on my list, bro. I'm gonna be honest. Jason Kidd. I want to put Jason Kidd up there. I'm missing 2 more. And I'm missing 2 obvious ones. I've had this conversation before. Like, this is something that I always talk about as far as top point guards ever. I need 2 more. 2 will come to me at some point. Because I sort of want to put Dame up there, but I don't know. I sort of feel like there's a place for Damian Lillard there. He just does a lot. He's missing some of the hardware, just like everybody else has to a certain extent, and the accolades and the records that some of the other players have. But I wouldn't mind putting him there, like at 8 or 9. I'm still, again, like, this is in no particular order, but I feel like he could go there. I sort of want to put James Harden there, but I feel like he's a 2, but he's been playing point for so long now. I wouldn't mind putting him at the 2. Same thing with Kyrie. I mean, at the 1. I have Kyrie as a 2 guard, a very strong combo guard. I feel like he plays both positions. Like, he's a great scoring point guard, sort of like Steph, but I would put him as a point guard, so I put him in my top 10 also. James Harden in my top 10. Maybe those guys. Yeah. I'll still think about it, though. Let's go ahead and start with the video. And also, in the comments, let me know your top 10 point guards of all time. I'm missing maybe one or two very important point guards for some reason. I don't know why.
3 is the top 15 greatest point guard of all time. I do not have him in my top 10. I do not have him in my top 10. I don't have CP3 ranked above Russell Westbrook. Like, did CP3 do it?
I don't either low key.
You know, win a lot of games.
I got Russ over Chris Paul.
Absolutely. I would never take that away from him.
If you want more Kendrick Perkins, there's a
Leave a comment down below. Do you have Russ over Chris Paul in your top point guards list? I think that Russell Westbrook has done so much stat-wise, done so much accolades-wise. I don't know how the winning looks as far as like the difference on those two. Who has won more games, who has impacted winning more games, more playoff games, how deep did they went respectively in the playoffs. I think that'd be a interesting conversation. But they play the point guard position differently, yet the same at the same time. Like, they both make their team better, but one is in a very controlled, I don't know what other word to say, floor general style, and then there's a one that's just, I'm gonna force you to score this basketball because I'm gonna run hard at this guy, and then you're gonna be open for a layup or a dunk. That's what I'm gonna do. That's sort of what we saw from Russ for a bit, and it was such like hard pause, strong pause, great basketball that it was almost 2K style games. Like, you would look at his stat line, because at the time, who the fuck was really watching like the Thunder play with those first few games when Russ was doing all that crazy shit? I mean, there were other games on during that time, so you just go back and see the stat line, and he'd have like 30, 27, and 16, and I'll just be like, all right, bro, he's on some crazy shit. So I got Russ over Chris Paul on the all-time point guard list, personally.
57-minute road trip in of Kendrick Perkins, no commercial breaks and no breaks, period. But Perk, I'm going to give you a chance to explain yourself here, sir, because I cannot get on board with this one, my friend.
Well, what is it to explain? When you talk about the all-time greats, right? I mean, it's a toss-up if you want to throw in John Stockton when it comes down to all-time point guards, right? I think you got to have some type of, of validation to get in the top 10, right? In my top 9, top 10, I have John Stockton. All
right, we're gonna analyze this, and then after this, we're gonna end the video, because I don't know. Who cares about what everybody else has to say? The top 10 of Kendrick Perkins: Magic, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Russ, Jason Kidd, Steph Curry, John Stockton, GP, Steve Nash, Bob Cousy. I don't know if I have Gary Payton or Bob Cousy better than Chris Paul. I don't know. I don't know if I can agree with that. I think that is where the issue a lot arises. I do not have those two over Chris Paul. I don't even know if I have Jason Kidd over Chris Paul. That's my question right there. Huh.
Oscar Robinson, Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas, Gary Payton, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Steph Curry, right? Bob Cousy. And when you look at 9 out of these 10, they either have a championship or they have multiple MVPs or MVP, except for John Stockton, but he's the all-time leader in assists. So I couldn't put CP3 above him. But
All right. So by that criteria and that thought process and how he is grading, that makes sense. The problem arises is when they got that championship, how much skin in the game were they? How much impact were they to winning that ring? Russ does not have a ring, but I think stat-wise and I think accolades-wise, they may be equal or Russ has more, in my opinion. But I still think that Chris Paul should be in that top 10. Gary Payton, he won a ring, but his ring was... he got piggybacked. I mean, it is what it is, but he did get one ring. I got Steve Nash over him. Those MVPs, I think that Steve Nash should have one MVP, not two, but whatever. I think all these players are... I think Chris Paul is better than Gary Payton. I think Chris Paul is better than Bob Cousy. I think Chris Paul is better than Steve Nash, but I think Steve Nash has those two MVPs, so that automatically forces you to put them in the same conversation. I think those two MVPs really, really messed up the top players of all time and the top point guards list, because you almost are forced to put him there. It's hard to leave someone who has multiple MVPs out, even one MVP out of a top point guard conversation or top anything conversation. But that's pretty much all I got. Do you guys have Chris Paul in your top 10 point guards list? Let me know in the conversation in the comment section down below. Personally, I do, and if you don't, I think you're just trolling and looking to get some sort of conversation started. But like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.